Yo, what's up? I feel like I ain't seen y'all forever, man. You know, what's happening out there? I got the sun in my face, the wind in my back. I'm ready to go, you know? But I remember all that stuff that Kenny just talked about. So I do, real fast, I want to talk about some stuff that happened with me. And one of the most, like the speakers that came before me, you had Mr. Where's he at? Where's Hector at?
I think he rolled.
Oh, Hector left. Figures. So we had Hector Garcia up here, right? And Hector was like a prominent person in the early stages of recovery. I remember he worked at a place called Gateway. Yo, that dude's been in service and helping people like us, man, and being one of us for a very long time. So I'm honored to be up here on the same, venue as they are. And then you had Khalil, and I gave you a little bit of insight on Khalil and our history together. You know, so it's very beautiful to watch people like us, resolve our issues and come out and be prominent members in society, you know. And like I hate like compliments, and I don't like speaking highly of myself, but I feel as though like God has placed me in a position to be a pillar in my community, you know. And I'm honored to be a pillar in my community. You know, so
and you're handsome too,
and I look good. Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate that. I need all that, you know, because there was a lot of times in my life I didn't think I was handsome at all. Now I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, that's you. I tell my girl all the time, like, hey, listen, you see what I look like, right? You know. So anyway, I'm up here to talk about housing. Believe it or not. And Kenny touched on a lot of that, man. And Kenny, I remember that. I remember that day. I'll never forget that day that you walked into the room. You came in because you wanted to, to float the boat of a woman that you came in with, you know. And then he just heard the message. And I'm honored to be a person to carry the message. There was times in my life that I had gifts, right? And I had like spiritual gifts. And I've always been like a pretty gifted person when it comes to sports, athleticism, speaking, selling ice to an Eskimo, and things like that. But I always thought that the gifts that I was provided was from God for me. And it took recovery and it took addiction and alcoholism and beating and brokenness to be at the end of my rope, burning both sides of it for me to understand, that I needed help. And then as I received that help through working the 12 steps, I realized that my gifts are not for me. They are from God for others. And after I start to recognize that, man, God will show and reveal to you exactly what your purpose is. He'll show you what your assignment is in life. Me and my girl were talking about this on the way. She's in service. She does her thing on the side, right, at her church and volunteers and stuff like that. And that's her assignment. My assignment is like doing stuff like this. And it's beautiful how we all had these different assignments. And some people will get discouraged because they think that they want this assignment, And then I get discouraged because I look at other people's assignments, and I gotta play my position to know what my assignment is. And if you're walking with the Spirit, He'll show you what your assignment is. And you just take that assignment and go with it. And it doesn't matter if it's one person that you help or a million that you help, because you might help that one person that helps a million, So it's just playing your position. Anyway, the housing thing is a beautiful subject in our community. So we have all sorts of different avenues and aspects of housing. Khalil was just talking about the re-entry part. So before we get into some things that are good, I'll just start to get into some things that aren't so good. And the first thing that isn't so good in our community and in our state, as far as housing goes, is mental health. We don't have anything mental health-wise to help people. Well, there may be some stuff out there that I'm not familiar with, but we don't do well in that area. Mental health is a very difficult thing. It's real. I mean, they'll send you to Meadowood or Rockford Center and put you on some medication and send you on your way. you know, just similar to what rehabs do today. We need some help in that area. We need help with people that have not just substance abuse, but mental health, abuse. And we need people to help us with that. That's something we can truly get better with. Then we have like the reentry thing, like Khalil was talking about. See if I can block the wind. And the mental health thing is one thing, but the reentry thing is huge. And everything he said resonated with me. Like if we help the people that are coming back into the community, we're the ones that, Jesus, right? Why are you eating with the sinners, man? Why are you eating with the sinners and the tax collectors? He said this, the people that ain't sick don't need a physician. I came for the sick. That's what he said. And that's the people that are the most hopeless, the most broken, the people who went through the most trials and tribulations in their life are the people that become most effective. So if you are broken and hopeless, good. That's a beautiful place to be, because maybe you too will become effective. And not just for you. So the reentry thing could be useful, because I remember working for Impact Life, and I started their house, and it was 3 employees. Impact was 3 employees. It was me, Leslie, and Dominica. And I remember when we were doing the work, and there was like there'd be people from the prison, like Gander Hill, for instance. I'm not going to name names as far as the people that contacted me, like the counselors and stuff that were in there. They would contact me, I had no answers for them. Like, not people that wanted recovery or even needed recovery, but people that were just trying to come out and find a spot in life and resume like a way of living it, and like there's nothing for them. There's nothing as far as housing goes for people that are coming out of prison. And he hit it spot on. Like, even going back into your own family isn't good all the time, To place yourself to be in a position to go back to the same exact situation that you just left, or that ended you up in prison to begin with, is not effective for us. But if we help those people like us, when they come home, take them through this process of some form of spiritual process. I'll get into that in a second. But if we get them to the Spirit, right, the fellowship of the Spirit, in whatever 12-step fellowship, if they're suffering from that or not, if we just help everyone to work this program of action and develop the fellowship of the Spirit, like, they are the people that will be most effective in the community, because they're the people that everybody else watches. It's like, oh, look, there he is. I remember I lost my girlfriend, right, 7 months in. I was 7 months sober. And my fiance, her name was Crystal Ann Lachette, and I remember she passed away from a fentanyl overdose. And I didn't know it, but you guys were watching me. And thank God I had already developed the fellowship of the Spirit, right? And I built this relationship with God, because I was able to maneuver through that. And just like me and Khalil was talking about, Khalil said this right over here on the side before he left. We were just talking about this. He was like, yo, don't tell God and pray and say, yo, God, I'm going to give this to you, but then keep trying to get it back from him. Give it to him and walk away from it and let it go. And then we just started talking about our experience with that, So the beautiful thing is, like, if I'm able to help people that are coming out, and like, if the hopeless and the broken wake up spiritually, we'll help everybody. This whole state will be, man, imagine like 100 Khalils, 100 Matt Andersons, 100 Zach Bibbs, just 100. Imagine the effect that we would have on our community. So now I want to talk about some things that I see that may be going well. A lot of you know that I come from Florida, right? I've been in Florida like for the first 7 years of my sobriety. I didn't know, before I get to that, I do want to finish up on what I was saying. When I lost my girl and I went back to prison, and this is the first year of sobriety, I didn't know people were watching me, right? And not only people out here, but people on the inside of prison were watching me, listening, wondering what I was going to do. I know my family was like, any minute now. And then when people see me resolve the issue and continue to worship and pray and trust and rely upon God through those things, yo, it started to have an effect on not just my life, but other people's lives. I was more effective than just speaking here with you. The most effective I could be is by just living and going through processes and trusting and relying upon God through them. People see that and they want to know how you did that. They're like, oh my gosh, how'd you get through that? If you got through that, I can too, you know? And it helps us be more effective. So now to the things that I think are going well. I'm in prison. I get out. I lost everything, right? And when I come home, there's some stuff here. When I come home from Florida, there's some stuff here, right? After you know, I've been in recovery for about 3 years or so at that time. I come home and some stuff started to happen in our community. I watched it. If you think that our community isn't growing, then you are blind, you know? Because I watched a lot of stuff change. It might not be at the fast pace that we want it to be, but it is happening. So the things that I believe that are going well in our community is because when I was down in Florida, when you go to a halfway house, you know what it costs? $250 a week. For you to just get out of treatment, you'll be lucky if someone gives you a scholarship for a week or two. Most likely you're going to need to hit your parents or your mom or your brother or your sister up to get the money to give you the first month of rent. But $250 just coming out of recovery, not having no skills, no life skills, no trade or nothing like that. They want you to pay $250, and if you don't have it, they will kick you out. That's how it is. So when I came here and they started Impact, or I helped start Impact, like there was some cool stuff going on in our community. We got Impact Life, we got CCD, Community Collaboration in Delaware, that will give you got Novak House, right? You got some places and centers that will give you the ability to get on your feet, you know? We don't have that in other states. So I know it looks like we're being ineffective, but as far as recovery goes, we're pretty effective on that note. But how can we get more effective is the question. What can we do better is the main question. And my belief is kind of like what Kenny was talking about. 12-step stuff. Like, listen, when I started Impact, there wasn't a lot of state regulations, or when I helped start the housing for Impact, the male housing, there wasn't a lot of rules and regulations that we had to follow. So I understand, you know, the direction that you have to go when you got to follow rules and regulations and you got people that are looking at you and it's a lot more strict. But in the beginning, if we could get the state to concur with us about 12-step recovery housing, man, things would be amazing. Because when you go into, like when Kenny had the same experience that I was trying to offer people, this was the deal. I would have people come in, they would call me, and like Banyan Treatment Centers, for instance, they'd be like, hey, Matt, we got a guy, you know? And they would tell me about the person. I would literally myself go in and interview the person. And I would interview them and I would ask them simple questions. Pretty much I wanted to know if you're at the end of your rope. And if you were still straddling the fence, I'm not going to waste my time. Like, yo, you might want to go to, you know, Oxford House or something like that, you know, someplace where you can kind of do your own thing. So I would explain to them that this is the avenue that we are at our house. We're a 12-step based program. This is what's going on. You're not getting a job until you're through your 4th step. And that doesn't mean you're going to sit around and do nothing either. That means you're going to be getting a sponsor and working the process. And if you're not, well, I'll find somewhere else for you to go. But it ain't here, you know? You can, it's not like I'm going to kick you out and leave you with nowhere to go. I'll find you somewhere to go, but this just isn't the place for you. This is based on a spiritual program of action. So it was like, it was kind of not just recommended, but like you had to work the process. And if you had to, and Ken, just like Kenny was talking about, I watched a lot of lights come on in that house. I would come in and Kenny explained it best. You know, I'd come in and say, hey man, what are you doing? You know, oh man, I'm on my 4th step. Go get it. You know, go get it. I don't want to hear that, yeah, I'm on a 4-step stuff. Bring it to me. Let me see it. Let's talk about it, you know? And then they would come and be like, well, you know, I had friends of mine too, friends of mine that are grateful for the experience now that hated me then. Matter of fact, I was on their inventory. They hated me then, but they're grateful for the experience now because I remember going in, there was 2 guys, I'm not going to name their names. One of them may or may not be Matt Perez, you know, but could be. But they didn't work the process, right? And they were like, yo, man, like I'm trying to write on it. And I'm like, yo, let me see how many names you got. And it's like 2 weeks later and they got like a list of like 5 names, you know? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. You're telling me in 2 weeks and you don't got a job or nothing. You're telling me this is all you could come up with in 2 weeks. Absolutely not. So I would even take the time, and it's not just saying, hey, I tried to rely on sponsors and things like that to get people to where they went. But of course, I wanted to put in some time too, which is where we come in at. If we can develop this sort of housing where some of us would put in the time to actually not just depend upon a sponsor and wait for you to get through the work because they don't have much time, but to sit with you and do the work as well, like things would change. It changes people. The step work changes people. So we start going through the process and we start writing names down and we start getting an inventory. And I'm like, well, what did this person do? And then we get to the other side of things and what did you do? And, you know, how were you selfish, dishonest, resentful, and afraid and all of that stuff. And then, you just started to see the lights come on in people. And a lot of those guys, and I can honestly say this, probably about 85 to 90% of those guys in those houses are sober today. I don't know how it is now or what the percentages are or any of that stuff because I'm not affiliated as much as I was with those places. But I can tell you that the stipulations that I put in place, which is really just 12-step stipulations, you know, and then making sure that I'm holding you accountable to it, putting those stipulations in place has changed lives. It really has. Not just like, because a lot of us, and this is where we're ineffective too, is a lot of places will open up housing to you and give you a place to just sit back, relax, and let yourself go. And that's not what we're doing. If you want recovery, here it is. If you don't, move on. You know? Like we just give people a place to sit, and you're taking up the bed space of somebody that really needs help. You know? So it's kind of like, you know, when you wake up spiritually, and you wake up through the process of recovery, you're able to discern who's here for the right reasons and who isn't. And that's where we come in at, as working the 12 steps, being members of the program, and actually opening up housing that we provide the stipulations and the rules and regulations to. Letting us, let the people, I'm talking to the state now, you know. Let the people that have resolved the issue, that have recovered from an issue that you have no idea how to recover from or how to help, let the people that have recovered and know how to help. That's what we need to do. There's nobody that's going to be more effective than us. People that have been through the problem. Who better to help me than somebody like me? You know? It's not like, hey, man, how do I build credit? We ain't talking about stuff like that. It's like, you can get anybody to help you with that, anybody that's built credit, you know? But the person, do you want to learn how to build credit from somebody that's coming out of school that never built credit? Or do you want to learn from somebody that actually built credit, how to build credit?
Yes, come on.
I need somebody to teach me the truth. And usually that's somebody that's experienced in what I'm suffering from. Somebody that's already had, I do the same thing in business. My business is the same way. I learn and I listen. When the guys, although I might not concur with them on spiritual matters, I might not concur with them on some other stuff, I might not concur with them in a lot of different avenues in my life, but when it comes to finances, and you know something that I don't, I'm going to learn from you. Please teach me. Recovery's the same way. Relationships are the same way. I'm not the best at stuff, so I got to learn. I'm learning now, you know? So listen, man, there's a lot of different things that we can do, but we need to do it together. And the main thing is to try to get the people that don't know to let us help. because we know how to help. Using drugs to get off drugs ain't going to help. Doing things that we've already tried and beat ourselves over the head and multiple times and tried to help and ain't helping, that ain't helping. Like, let us help. Let the people like us help. I appreciate you guys for having me out.